Good morning, everyone. We are continuing with the chapter correlation. The topic we have to start today is properties of correlation, a very important topic. Students, there are 7 properties of correlation. These properties define correlation and tell us the features or characteristics of correlation. Number 1, correlation or small r, this is how you denote it, has no unit. It is a pure number. That means when we write the value of correlation, we do not attach any unit of measurement along with it. Second, negative value of r indicates an inverse relation between two variables. This means that change in one variable is associated with change in the other variable, but in opposite direction. Students, if you remember in the previous video, we talked about 2 types of correlation, positive and negative. Negative correlation meant that the change between two variables is in the opposite direction. So here too, if you find out correlation and your answer comes out in negative, that means both the variables are related but negatively. Third property, positive value of r indicates direct relation between the variables. This means that both variables move in the same direction. So you call it a positive correlation. Fourth property, the value of correlation lies between -1 and +1. If the value of r is outside this range, then there is an error. So that means starting from -1 on the number line and moving towards +1, r can have any value. However, the value of r or the value of correlation cannot be beyond this range. Fifth property, the magnitude of r is unaffected by change of origin and change of scale. Change of origin means, students, that if we add or subtract a constant to all the values, then also coefficient of correlation will remain unaffected. And change of scale means that if we multiply or divide the values of x and y with a constant, again coefficient of correlation will not change. So the magnitude of r is unaffected by change of origin also and change of scale also. Sixth property, if r is equal to 0, then the two variables are uncorrelated, because r stands for correlation, and if the correlation is 0, then that means there is no correlation, right? And the last property, negative and positive signs represent the direction of change in the variable. This must be very clear to you. Negative correlation and positive correlation indicate the direction of change. So here too, negative and positive signs will tell you the direction in which both the variables are changing. If it is a negative sign, that means the variables are changing in the opposite direction, and if it is a positive sign, that means variables are changing but in the same direction. Let's move on to the second technique of calculation of correlation, which is Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. Remember, students, you do not call it correlation individually, you call it coefficient of correlation. And this technique is given by Karl Pearson. He was a Britisher. So you call it Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. You also call it by 2 different names. Number 1 is the product moment correlation coefficient, or simple correlation coefficient. If you remember, simple correlation was a type where we used to study only two variables. It gives a precise numerical value of the degree of linear relationship between two variables x and y. Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation should be used only when there is a linear relation between the variables. It is not suitable for non-linear relation between the variables. So that means if x and y have linear relationship between them, we can use Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation method to find out the relationship between them. But if they do not have a linear relationship, then this method is not at all suitable. Let's come to the first formula, which is actual mean method. As you can see, R is equal to sigma x minus x bar into y minus y bar. This x bar and y bar are the actual means, divided by under root of sigma x minus x bar whole square and under root of y minus y bar whole square. Students, this has been replaced in the next formula by small x and small y to simplify. Therefore, x minus x bar has been written as small x and y minus y bar has been written as small y. So accordingly, your final formula becomes sigma xy upon under root of sigma x square into sigma y square. From this formula itself, you get to derive a second formula for coefficient of correlation, which is using covariance. What is it? R is equal to covariance of xy upon under root of variance of x into under root of variance of y. You can also write it as covariance of x and y, the numerator is same, divided by under root of variance of x can be written as standard deviation of x, and under root of variance of y can be written as standard deviation of y. Look at the slide here, students. Covariance is equal to sigma x minus x bar y minus y bar whole divided by n, and variance is the square of standard deviation. Variance is the square of standard deviation. So in the previous slide, supposingly, what is written in the denominator? Under root of variance. So if variance is the square of standard deviation, that means standard deviation is the square root of variance. Therefore, we have substituted in the denominator variance of x under root as standard deviation of x and variance of y under root as standard deviation of y. Here's the solution, how to solve it. You can see that you are given two variables, number of years of schooling of farmers and annual yield per acre in thousands. These are the two variables and you are asked to find out the coefficient of correlation between them. As you see in the solution, the first column is of the variable years of education, which we have denoted by capital X. We need to first of all find out the actual mean, since we are using actual mean method. So for finding out mean, we total up all the observations of x and divide it by the number of observations. You get 6 as the mean of x. In the second column, we need to find out the deviations from actual mean, and those deviations we represent by letter x, small x. So x is equal to capital X minus x bar. The third column, you square the second column, which you have to use in the denominator. So x square. We repeat the same steps for the variable y. Number 1, we find out the mean of y. We subtract mean from all the values of y to get deviations, which we denote by letter y, small y, and then we square up the column. And finally, we multiply the small x column with the small y column to get xy. Totaling up the columns which we need to put it into the formula, you can see above we have calculated mean of x and mean of y, and then we have applied the formula. As you can see, the second formula, which is the simpler version, x sigma xy upon under root of sigma x square into sigma y square, we just put the values and get the value. R is equal to 0.644. Remember students, R value will always lie between -1 to 1. It cannot exceed 1, it cannot exceed -1. The third formula is using assumed mean method. The steps remain the same, the formula becomes different. Since calculations from actual mean may be difficult if mean values are in fractions, therefore, in this method, deviations are taken from assumed mean instead of actual mean, okay? And the following formula is used. See the formula, R is equal to n, which is your number of observations, sigma dx dy. Now what will be dx, students? Deviations only, but now the deviations are taken from assumed mean. So you write dx is equal to x minus a, okay, and dy is equal to y minus a. So the formula is n sigma dx dy minus sigma dx into sigma dy divided by under root of n sigma dx square minus sigma dx whole square under root of n sigma dy square minus sigma dy whole square. Students, there is no negative sign between the two under roots. We come back to the last topic, deficiencies of Karl-Pearson's coefficient of correlation. Students, this method of Karl-Pearson's suffers from these three limitations. Let's see. Number 1, this measure cannot be used to find relation between qualitative variables such as beauty, fairness, honesty, knowledge, etc., as numbers cannot be assigned to these variables. I hope everybody remembers, in the first chapter we discussed qualitative data and quantitative data. So accordingly, if you want to find out the correlation of two qualitative variables, you will not be able to use Karl-Pearson's method, since you cannot assign numbers to those variables. Second deficiency is that this measure cannot be used in case of non-linear relation between two variables. As we studied previously, Karl-Pearson's method can only be used if there is a linear relationship between two variables. In case of non-linear relationships, Karl-Pearson's method is not suitable. Number 3, this measure is affected by extreme values, which is change of origin. So, in case you change the origin of the data, your Karl-Pearson's coefficient of correlation value will also get affected. Thus, in all such cases, it is better to use Spearman's correlation coefficient, which overcomes the above mentioned deficiencies of Karl-Pearson's coefficient of correlation. But since Spearman's correlation is not in our syllabus, so we will have to wind up with only the deficiencies. A simple last topic which says that statistics is no substitute for common sense. Students, you can read the example of this slide. The summary is that even if you get a value showing correlation between two variables, then also it should be interpreted as that there could be a relation between them directly, cause and effect relation, or there could not be a direct relation, but relation could be because of any other two reasons. It could be because of pure chance, right? The second reason of correlation, and it could be because the variables are getting affected by a common factor, which was the third reason of correlation. So, in case you find a relationship between two variables, common sense has to be used for interpretation purposes. Therefore, it is said that statistics is no substitute for common sense. That's the end of the chapter.